Alrighty, welcome back, guys. Live show. Obviously, if you're going to be listening to this afterwards on the podcast, welcome. Thank you once again for giving us your time to listen to the podcast. The weekly talking points live show now on both Facebook and YouTube. So, as I said, again, if you haven't already, make sure you do follow and subscribe to both of those pages so that you can get involved when these shows are live. It's most of the time it is a Wednesday, but in case we do change it, you do get the notifications. So just make sure you do that, and it also helps us support the page and grow. But look, got the boys once again. Got Jez, the mighty Knight support, and I got Adam as well. Was up. Jez is still coming down. He's still up. He's still up. It's been a big week for him as a Knight supporter up in Newcastle. That I believe flags and it's colourful everywhere. How's the feeling at the moment, Jez?
It's taking over the town, and rightly so. You could probably see that there was a couple of posts from the guys waving the bus off to the airport. So, but even just at a primary school level, that's my job, the 9 to 5 that I do. The kids are just so involved, and it's really lovely to see. It's great that the men's team is doing well, but then the women's team is also doing well. So the playground is just full of footy talk, and it's so good. It's so good. Yeah. But that's the beauty of being a one-town team.
Yeah, it is, but and it's also it's one of those things when the Knights are flying. It's always good for rugby league, and rugby league's in a good stead. So that one team town and it packs out the stadium. It is good to watch, even though as Para fans we.
No, it's not. It's hard.
At the same time, so.
It's hard. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like obviously I went to the game on the weekend with Jeremy, and well, look, it was good to see them having a hard time. But it was a whole feeling. Like I wasn't bitter. Like I wasn't bitter all week, was I, Jeremy? Like I was looking forward to the game, just getting out and doing something.
No, I thought you'd be a bit more vocal about your team not making it, and ours are.
And I got there, and I was bitter. Like I had to sleep in because I had a late night Saturday night. I had to sleep in. I went and grabbed myself a kebab from Mayfield. Sorry, not from Mayfield. Sorry, I wish I went to Mayfield. They're not open. From Waratah, right near the stadium, and this was like 3.5 hours before the game because I got there early to help Jeremy's dad get the usual spots. And there's a lot of Knights jumpers around. I just got really bitter. And I got really angry and really I wasn't bitter at the Knights. I was bitter at Parramatta for being shit.
You're bitter at Canberra because you're watching them play and you were saying far out. Parramatta was so much better because every play that Canberra put on was just really predictable, and you were just sitting there fuming that it wasn't Parramatta playing this game.
I'll say this comfortably now. I know how bad Parramatta were, but Parramatta on their day, actually a lot of teams on their day, it shows how poor Canberra were on Sunday, would have had Newcastle down by 30 at halftime. I know we were talking about the game the other day, but a lot of teams would have. So that made me angry as well. It made me angry that Canberra there because they were touched on the dick with the draw. Like, honestly, their draw was that easy. They got absolutely pumped by a couple of teams, finished with minus 100 and still made the finals because of the draw they had. And then I started thinking back, and I was bitter more because we got beat by Canberra with no Mitchell Moses in our team. And we had Jake Arthur at halfback, and I love Jake, great player, absolute star of the game. But if Mitchell was there that game, we probably would have beat him, and we probably would have been playing for. I was just angry. There was just a lot of anger, and you know what else I was angry about? I was angry because I was at a game with 30,000 Newcastle fans, right? So it's just turned into Adam's rant. But I was at a game.
I'm going to say it's very early for this, but it's a later time slot.
Dude, I've been holding this since on the run sheet. I've been holding this since Sunday. Let me go. So, look, I was bitter because I got there and there was 30,000 fans there, Newcastle fans. There was lucky to be 500 Canberra fans. Now, Jeremy will testify this. Both Newcastle and Canberra fans got access to tickets at the same time, right? I know it's a bit further than Canberra. I was also bitter because what could have been a special day for Parramatta, because we would have beat Newcastle on Sunday, was there would have been probably 8 to 10,000 Parramatta fans there. Like, no one can deny that. If we got access at the same time with our 35,000 members and the amount live in the area, there would have been that many Parramatta fans. It would have been an awesome day. The poor Canberra guy was trying to start the drum. That pissed me off too because they kept chanting over him. That wouldn't happen with Parramatta because there would have been more fans there. I hate footy. Up the wires. FTK means. Do you want to know what FTK means, Joel? Do you want to have a guess?
Yeah, off you go. Something about fuck the.
No, you tell me, what does FTK mean?
Fuck the Knights.
There you go. Yeah.
And we're at a later time slot. So if anyone knows this by now, you've got to make sure you tune into this show because anytime we're later, it just who knows what happens. We just lose it. We lose the plot. It becomes very, very entertaining. And
off the rails.
What I say is the next 30, 40 minutes is going to be worth the watch and listen to. So stick with us. And as we always say, please keep involved with the comments and stuff. Keep them coming through. We'll share them at the time. And we always value your opinions as much as just as ours. We're all for the fans, and that's exactly what everyone is either doing this video or listening to the video. So let's talk about our performances of the week, both the NRLW and NRL side of things. I'll go first. Mine for the actual NRLW side of it has to be the Newcastle Knights beating the premiership favourites, the Sydney Roosters, by the scoreline in the end. I think it was 20-4 in the end, and they absolutely did it in the end quite easy, but it was a good game. I know Roosters had a couple of players out, but the Stars, Tamika Upton, just absolutely stood up, and it was just next level. I thought she was the best player on the field by far, and she just was a big game player, probably the best player in the world for the women's side of things, and just showed that. For the men's, special shout out to the Roosters, I think, for this week. And I know that a lot of the top 4 teams, they did flex their muscles, the top 2, but I just think the Roosters, with what they had to come up against, the injuries, the sin binning, I thought it was a really, really good performance and a tough performance by the Roosters, Jez.
Yeah, it's similar for the NRLW, just the Knights. They're on a bit of a roll. And I know the Roosters had a couple of players out. However, they were just so clinical. They did it quite easily. And it was just a shame it wasn't on the same day as the men's, because obviously they played the day before and there wasn't that many people there watching, because they've obviously all saved their time for rugby league for the following day with the sellout crowd for the men. So bit of a bummer that it couldn't have been just moved to let the girls play in front of a bumper crowd as well. And then for the NRL, it's Adam Reynolds. Just the way he played on the weekend, there was a moment, I'll just watch back at then just to confirm. There was a moment there where he was rushed on a kick. And this is how you could tell that Adam Reynolds was on. He's a dominant right foot kicker. He saw the rushing line, pumped it over to his left. Like it was a bit of a shank kick. But for him to have the confidence to use his non-dominant foot to have a clearing kick, it just kind of showed the level that he's on at the moment and the way that they're attacking their finals football. So for him to lead that team in the way that he did, it's Adam Reynolds for my performance of the week.
Yeah, and that dropout he did to get the ball back when they were starting to get some field position, the Storm was massive as well. Adam?
Going teams, we're going to go Brisbane. Like I said, they flexed their muscles. I thought they were incredible. But it's not that Melbourne were bad. It's just the opportunities were taken away from Melbourne. Some strange choices, which obviously led to some strange things happening on the field. But just Brisbane flex. Like I said the other night, I had Melbourne to win the comp. I think Brisbane are going to be very hard to beat now with that week off in the prelim at Brisbane. For the women,
just quickly, when you just on that, because I've heard a lot of podcasts this couple of days, and a lot of the so-called experts have said the Storm were off. But I'm with you. I don't think the Broncos were that good. It wasn't even about this. They were just that good. The Storm just didn't get a chance, and it was because of the Broncos, the way they defended, the way they attacked. I just thought it was all credit to the Broncos. And look, the Storm were just beaten up. They're like, it's plain and simple. They were beaten up.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I said Melbourne this week. I'm confident Melbourne will go down to Melbourne against the Roosters and put 30 on them. So they'll turn that around big time, because, like I said, they didn't play bad. They just couldn't really get in the rhythm because of Brisbane. It was quite like the Canberra-Newcastle game in the first half. Canberra absolutely built the crap out of them that Newcastle just couldn't get into their natural game rhythm. So took a couple of momentum swings, a couple of things happened to get them back. But as the women, look, Parramatta Eels, once again, another wonderful performance. Just shout out to the girls. Wrapped up that wooden spoon. Congratulations to I think it's 7 or 8 of them that have been picked in the PM's 11. You've been picked on PM's 13. Yep, you've been picked in the PM's 13 because most other teams are still actually available to play. But anyway,
they're still playing, yeah.
Yeah, that's why. I think it's only Parramatta and St. George that are out of contention now. So, or maybe, I don't know. There's other teams, obviously.
There's a few. Tigers are out as well.
Look, I know we spoke about before, Newcastle obviously went to first against the Roosters. We're kind of expecting that from Newcastle now. Obviously, they're favourites to go back-to-back. They play the Roosters. But the one that's one of the Raiders is the Gold Coast. Obviously, the Gold Coast obviously came around the same time as Newcastle there. But, they're sitting in third place and they've won some pretty big games. They've won 34-12. So we'll probably go to Newcastle. Honourable mention to the Gold Coast. If we want to go player of the round for the men, I can't give you women's. I didn't watch it closely enough. Got to be someone from Brisbane. Like, I thought Walsh was incredible once again. I can't remember who I gave my 3-2-1 now. You remember who I gave my 3-2 in that game?
Yeah, whoever it was Carrigan 3. Carrigan 3, I'm pretty sure, and then Reynolds 2. And
I swear I had Walsh. Anyway, whoever I gave my 3 to in that game, I gave Haas a mention, gets my player of the round. That was a long day.
Now you actually you went Reynolds 3, Carrigan 2, Haas 1.
There you go. So
Reynolds.
That was Friday. There's been so much.
Yeah, it feels like a lifetime ago.
100%.
Yeah, it was. Let's get into
Sorry, I've got one more little round. Just on what Jeremy said about the finals. I know we've got a commitment to NBN and obviously TV games and stuff like that. But that Thursday night game, Cronulla
Channel 9, mate. Channel 9. We're
NBN.
We're
Channel 9
nationwide.
Newcastle viewers. Yeah. That Sharks versus St George game. If we want to show off the women's game, that's not the way to do it. There was probably 100 people there. There was no atmosphere at the ground. And look, it wasn't obviously two of the top teams playing, so it was a pretty sloppy game. And if that game would have been played before the Cronulla game the next day, or whenever the Cronulla game was a Saturday, would have made a lot more sense because it would have been a lot of crowd. Same as the Newcastle game. As Jeremy said, there was 3,500 people there at the Knights game against the Roosters on the Saturday. They played on the Sunday. Those hills were full at probably 20 past 2, quarter past 2. At quarter past 2, 20 past 2, when that game probably would have kicked off, there would have been, I reckon, 10,000 people in that ground. So it's just, opportunities missed and opportunities to show off the women's game. And it probably would have been, I'm not saying they were bad quality games, but we know the girls would have risen with a bigger crowd there, obviously. Yeah. People wanting to
and I think that game, especially the Knights Roosters game, deserved a really good crowd there as well. It was a decent crowd considering it was a double-headed women's game, but the fact that it was top 2, probably a grand final preview game as well, it just deserved a lot better than what it got, I thought. So, and it was a weird one. I think they got it completely wrong with the organising, and I think they've done it again this weekend where they got like a double-header at GIO Stadium and stuff like that, and it's just there's no one there.
You've got to have some flexibility, though.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
It's TV rights, though. It's about TV rights. It's not about crowds. NRL have made it pretty obvious by now. By these Sunday 6:30 kickoffs, Thursday night, Friday 6 o'clock. They don't give a shit about bums on seats or atmospheres. They care about.
That's one of my points for one of our talking points because the league has foregone over $1 million in revenue from last round.
Yeah,
that's bums on seats.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's the thing. I don't get it either. And that's the annoying thing for mine is the fact that we've got these, like we obviously charge more for finals tickets, which is everyone knows that, everyone pays it, but give a bit of more value because all they're doing is they're getting there and like look what happened at the Knights game the other day, and there was I think there was one act on like a musical performance, but then that was it. Like give them the extra game or something. Let them go there and watch at least 2 games of footy and like look on the weekend, like the Melbourne games there. Maybe put you could have easily put a women's game before them. Over in New Zealand, why not reward 2 of the women's team and just take a game over there and just see how it goes in New Zealand, the women's game. See if people rock up early, which they no doubt will because it's going to be a packed out stadium, and just having an experience over there. Go over there. The game keeps saying how much money they've actually got and how much they've made lately. So go out there and just reward some people. And we want to grow the game. These are the best ways to sort of do it. So
it'd be a really good idea. Like change the game. If we took a game to Vegas, let's take a game to Vegas. It's a really good idea.
Yeah,
you reckon that
why
would
not?
work? Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah, let's do that.
I think so.
Yeah, just before we get there, but you could just have tickets that are valid for the game. Doesn't matter what day. You could just have tickets valid for that game. But then it is a semi-finals game that you're piggybacking on. So if you've bought tickets for the women's game and it gets moved, then you don't deserve a ticket to the semi-final.
As well. I'll help you. I'll help you here, Getty, because there's been a change tonight. Actually, it happened. The game tomorrow night is supposed to be at Campbelltown Stadium, has now been moved to play at Leichhardt Stadium, and that's within 24 hours' notice. So there are changing games, and that we're seeing time changes as well. So
the NRLW competition only used to run the last couple of weeks and during finals, and they would always be adaptable with that. The games were on before the finals at the stadium. So I remember going to a Parramatta South Sydney game and the NRL women's game was on before that. There was no Parramatta team. There wasn't that many people there watching, but it was still on at that venue. So they'd done it before they can do it again. Look, let's be honest, and I mean this in the most respectful way, the games aren't going to sell out. So there really doesn't need to be any reason to pre-sale tickets to the women's game. I think it was $10 to get into the Knights game the other day. And it was quite reasonable. Like you might have, I don't think there'd really be anyone out there besides family and friends, which really isn't that many people that they need all our tickets for. But it was only $30 to sit on the Southern Hill, which we paid for, even though we sat on the Northern Hill, which was $20 for the actual finals ticket on the weekend, which was bloody cheap. So to pay $10 to go see just a women's game, well, that's one thing Newcastle did get right. It was actually cheaper to go to a finals game at Newcastle than it is to go to a regular season game at Newcastle.
Yeah. No, that's true. So quickly, before we get into more serious footy chat, we're going to start getting ready for our off season. We are going to be around. We won't probably do a weekly one, but we'll do probably every couple of weeks or every third week. We'll get out anytime there's a talk.
Every time there's a scandal.
Yes.
Yeah, every time there's scandal cast.
We'll weekly. Every week, guys. Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see every week for something. But we're going to start entertaining you guys and bringing in some different talking points, not just footy related. And I want to tease the viewers with one this week. And I asked you boys a bit of homework. I want you to list your most overrated food that you think's out there. And I'll go first. I'll kick us off. I've gone one thing it just does my head in. I've only had it a couple of times because I can't stand it. Deep fried ice cream. I think it is one of the most overrated things of all time. I want ice cream, normal ice cream. I don't want batter and stuff around me ice cream. Warm, cold, whatever it is. I don't like it. I think it's overrated.
There's a concept of warm ice cream. Me and Jeremy pretty much lived off deep fried ice cream from probably the age of 16 to about 19.
You've hit a nerve here straight away.
Bring it.
Shout out Eastern Tiger Restaurant at Cardiff.
That let us in for free all the time through the back door. They didn't know. But and then literally we lived off deep fried ice cream, which you could only get on certain nights, may I add, which doesn't make any sense. It's not that hard to make. No. And you know the caramel tubs you can get, just a caramel in a can? Yep. We used to just get that in a bowl, didn't we? I don't know how we ate that. God, we did some stupid things back then. Yeah.
Just eat that by the tin.
Yeah,
I'll go next.
I'm going next.
I got it locked and loaded. It's in the dessert realm as well, so it's good to think that we're thinking on similar levels. It's tiramisu. Tiramisu can get in the bin. It is so overrated. And people I don't know. It's like a pop culture thing, maybe. Like they're like, oh, do you like tiramisu? No, I don't like tiramisu. Give me just a normal dessert. Put it in the bin. It's done. You don't need it. Get rid of it.
It's like people use it as a sort of a steak, like a posh sort of way as well. It's like
cultured? No.
Yeah. Oh, I've got a tiramisu. I brought a tiramisu along. Okay, well, pretty much that's going to be left there with maybe one scoop taken out of it. Everyone else will go for the easy bloody Woolworths mud cake, and you can enjoy your tiramisu.
Don't you dare come after Gusto.
Okay, well, first of all, I agree with Jeremy. Cold coffee in general, I'm just not a fan of cold coffee. But I actually had tiramisu made my cousin's boyfriend on Christmas last year. It's probably one of the best things I've ever had when it's homemade by an Italian person. Just putting that out there. All right, mine, which could create some controversy, and I don't like to attack animals, but it's bacon. It's not just bacon. It's pig in general. It's pig, like anything pig, like.
So pork,
I'm not a fan of pork chops. I'm not I like pork ribs. That's obviously the only good thing about. But I can go without them. Like lamb ribs are a viable option. So is beef ribs. Pork ribs are obviously good. I like ham, but one thing I can go without. So just bacon. Everyone loves bacon. You know, people just add bacon and stuff. Like Subway, you add bacon to it. No, I don't want to add bacon.
That's not real bacon.
Yeah. The only time I'll eat bacon is if I cook it myself and I absolutely fry the crap out of it. And then it's charcoal bacon.
Wow.
Yeah, I've had your crispy pork. Don't take offense. It was good, but I don't mind pork belly. But like I said, I can go without it. This was hard for me because I love food. All right, I really love food, but
I thought we want to start off with.
Wait, while we're picking on a nerve, I just got to raise this one because it did cross my mind as well. I just want to give a shout out to Macca's and their inability to McFlurry properly. So the McFlurry's hit a nerve as well.
Hang on, please. Hang on. Here at the show, we love Macca's, and if you ever want to jump on board and sponsor us, please do.
This 100%. Macca's moment brought to you by.
But the McFlurry ain't what it used to be. All right. No, everyone remembers the original McFlurry. When the McFlurry had the McFlurry spoon. Mate, now it's just a glorified sundae without the sauce. And you add the sauce to it anyway. So it's not Like, you don't know how long, if I get a McFlurry, I sit in the car and I just do this one. Like, I'm not going to lie. There's been times in my life where I've actually Googled if I can find an old Macca's McFlurry machine with some spoons. So
yeah, they're about $3,000. They're about $3,000. You can buy them.
Yeah, they are. I know you can. Don't tempt me. That's all. That's all I'm picking on.
Oh,
I did hear before we move on. No. I did hear that KFC are flirting of bringing back Crushers. Now, as a long-term vegetarian,
Gaytime Crusher,
that will get me back to KFC. Gaytime Crushers would goat. There's nothing compares. Nothing compares.
Yeah. Well, shout out to KFC as well if you want to sponsor us. We'll declare you better than that.
The Henny Penny scenes that are in the background, like on Newcastle.
Yeah, Henny Penny as well.
That's right.
If you ever had a Henny Penny, I tell you what, I thought I was going
to be getting Impulse Airlines to sponsor us. That's
they're
definitely
cool. I tell you what, that was fun. We're going to have a great off season with the topics we're going to come up with. But yeah, that was beautiful. Let's get back into some footy talk. I want the power rankings for the finals week 1. Just the top 6 teams, the teams that are left. Interesting to see here where everyone's got right. I'll go back to Adam now. He can go first with a proper serious chat.
So can you go first? So this was your idea.
All right, I'll go. I'll go first. I've got Broncos 1. I've got Penrith 2. I've got Sydney Roosters 3, purely off the fact of how they won that. They probably shouldn't have, and they might get beat again this week after losing too many players, but such a gutsy performance. 4, I'll go the Knights. We did mention it on Sunday. I was a bit disappointed with the fact that they kept the Raiders in the game for as long as they did, but they did get the win, so that's well done to them. 5, this is where it gets interesting because it's the 2 teams that lost. 5, I'll go the Warriors. I don't think the Warriors as bad as the scoreline had said. And 6, I'll go the Storm, who I thought was just dreadful. Like, that was one of the worst Storm displays I've seen by them in probably 2 or 3 years. It was pretty bad. And as I said earlier, it wasn't the fact that they were bad that made the Broncos look good. The Broncos were just fantastic and just completely shut the Storm out. Ad, you ready to go now? You on Jez first?
Yeah, I'll go. I had Brisbane 1 as well. Obviously, the performance they put in. I had the Panthers obviously 2nd as well. This is where it gets interesting as well because, like, I want to say I've got 3rd and 4th, 5th and 6th, but the teams that won on the weekend, I can see them being eliminated this week. So, your power rankings are going to change. I don't think
we'll change them. That's all right.
Yeah.
Normally, power rankings mean you do say you're 3, 4, 5, and 6. That's all. So.
Yeah, I'm gonna say it. But all right, now we're getting smart. I've got the Warriors still 3rd. I know I didn't have them anywhere before, but like I said, team without Sean Johnson, they showed up. It could have been a lot worse. It would have been a lot worse for other teams. I have the Roosters 4th, even though I think they'll be eliminated. I have Newcastle 5th. I thought they're very lucky to win. I have Melbourne 6th. But in saying that, I see Melbourne winning this week. So
Yeah, it's like that. Jez, you obviously got the Knights first.
No, I've got the Broncos first. Just they absolutely bashed them, and that was fantastic. If they do that, they win the comp. If they can continue that sort of form. Penrith in 2nd. This is where it gets different. I might have my red and blue glasses on here, but I got the Knights in 3rd. I think for them to come back from where they were, I know that the biting incident helped, and obviously the crowd helped. But they still won that game. They still came back from that deficit and they still iced it. So that's why they're there. The Warriors are 4th. But we mentioned when we did our recap that the Warriors weren't out of that game, even though the scoreline blew out from them. They were still very competitive, and they've got their main player to come back. I'm just kind of hoping he's still injured, but he will be back. And then I've got the Roosters in 5th, and same as Adam, I've got the Storm winning, but I've got them last just based on their performance.
Yeah.
Okay, Mika. Yeah, mate.
You just get bashed every week. Every week,
okay.
Poor Jez gets bashed, whether it's in here or in a comment afterwards. He gets bashed.
It's okay.
We love you, Jez.
Still here for now, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But they're my power rankings.
Yeah, I think that's going to change, as we said, next week. But it's always good just to keep it up. It'll be interesting because it's funny because in the betting, when it goes into power rankings, the Storm versus Roosters game, it looks like the Roosters are absolutely no chance. But I think the game is a lot closer than what the odds are saying about that. But we'll get to that game. Look, wanted to get to a talking point that we were asked about a lot on Sunday night, but we couldn't get to it. We ran out of time with our review show and wanted to keep it for a talking point, which is obviously Val Holmes. Just want to talk about obviously the incident, the stupidity behind it, and the potential for what the suspension, or if there is a suspension, if it's just a slap on the wrist, or if it's monetary. Where do we go with this one? Like, it's obviously easy to start with and just say, what the hell was he thinking? Like, that is just stupidity at the finest level. And I got to be honest, it just feels like a lot of these footy players have shit for brains. Like, it's just dead set. It's you can't sugarcoat it. It's like, what, even if it was a prank or whatever he wants to try and claim, I'm going to say, first of all, I don't think it was a prank, because if you look at the state of him, he's clearly probably already had some, allegedly. Who knows if we're even allowed to say that at this time, but whatever. I think everyone young in their day and have done something or other or know about things, and he looked like there was a lot more than just a couple of raspberry cruises in that. So, yeah, I don't buy the whole it was a prank. I think that was definitely something of his. And, yeah, Adam or Jez, please, what do you think of this? It's like one of those, when I heard about it, I just wanted to just slap my hand on my head and go, oh, it's already started. It's 1 week into Mad Monday.
It just fits the mold, though, doesn't it? It fits the mold of the NRL, having this just come out. There's one every year. There is one every year. And whether it's a culture issue in terms of rugby league in itself, or if it's young men just being together, or as I've got a couple of mates that lived in Townsville for quite some time, trying to just find something to do in Townsville. I'm sure there's something else you can do, but to post it on your social media, it is just rocks in your head. And I think Adam will touch on it. I hope he comes out and goes, you know what? Yep, I did it. I stuffed up. I don't want it to be another Ponga in the toilet episode where that just gets dragged on. I'd rather him come out. And this is what I say to my kids when I teach them. It's okay to make a mistake, but you have to admit that you've made that mistake, fix it from that mistake, and move on. If you lie and say, no, that's not what it was, then you only make it worse for yourself. So it's a big time for him coming up to actually see what route he's going to take in terms of defending himself.
It's an interesting point you make, and before Adam goes off, I know he's probably got something ready for this one. He's going to have rant number 5 for the episode, and we're only halfway through the show, so look out. It is a good point you make, because I'll go back to the Walsh incident. I know that Walsh is a little bit different because he was busted by the actual cops, I think, who put him up at Surfers. But the day after, he did come out. He just owned it, completely owned it, said, I stuffed up, I've made a mistake, I'll learn from this and I'll be better. And to be honest, ever since that's happened, he actually has. He's gotten better with it. He's gotten much better on the field, got better off the field. And he owned it, move on. But yeah, we'll see what happens. And I think if he wants to hide behind a practical joke, he's not going to learn much and probably get in trouble again throughout the off season. Adam?
Jeremy pretty much said everything I was going to say. It's about owning it. Look, I think the biggest thing is if you're going to be an NRL player and you're going to do cocaine, you've got to do it in the toilets. Everyone knows that. It's the way to do it. It's the safest place to do it. In other news, guys, I actually just bought a house this week, so I'll be at the Dell this weekend if anyone wants to. No, I won't really.
I won't be holding your hair back. I won't be holding your hair back.
I won't at all. But like I say, he's got to own it. Look, all it screams to me is he can't be that fucking stupid. Like, honestly, he can't be that stupid to put it up. It screams to me the player that's sick of living in Townsville and probably wanted to find himself in a bit of trouble, to be honest. Probably wanted to test a bit of the open market. He's obviously turned into one of the best centers in the game. So what way to do it to get in trouble and to piss your club off? And I'll have him at Parramatta. We have a great drug culture at Parramatta. He'll fit right in.
Oh, wow. We're in so much trouble.
He can come to the Knights as well. He'll get a cubicle named right next to Caitlin's.
Drug culture, 100%. He might be able to hit up Danny. Living at Gunnedah, he might be able to provide for him. We can
stick him on the wing. He'd be a good replacement for Dom Young.
It's just, yeah. And I'll go back to this, and I've said this before when players get in trouble and that. The NRL players these days have so much money, so many connections, so many whatever. They could easily just hire out a penthouse if they wanted to. They could go nuts for days. No phones, no nothing. Do whatever the hell they please. No one judges and no one knows. and there'd be just nothing would be said. But it's like they're addicted to getting themselves out there. Like, and they just need to record everything. So anyway,
just the other
the amount of people that would have been in trouble in the early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah,
they were smart.
We wouldn't have an eighth immortal if phones had cameras on them.
Come to Newcastle. If you win a comp Valentine, they make all their druggos up here immortals, so you'll be right.
Just quickly, Jez, the Cambo. Can you help us? What's the Cambo, guys?
Yeah, no, the Cambo, the Cambridge was a lovely establishment here in Newcastle.
No, it
wasn't. Plenty of live music, plenty of great scenes. Definitely no fights in the streets outside after it. And yes, since it has shut down, they have they've been on quite a streak.
Shout out to the Cambo as well. I know you've shut down, but if there's any money left and you want to sponsor a show or a podcast, come and message us. We love you. It was
King Street, so we're sweet.
As Jez said, fantastic spot. Don't listen to Adam. He's on his angry pills tonight. He'll go back and apologise tomorrow. I'll make sure of it. But yeah, love you, Cambo. Let's talk.
I don't think Jeremy had been in there in its later days, where Adam actually started to frequently visit the place. And some good nights had, but it wasn't a great place to be.
This episode's living up to where I thought it was going to go. It's a great episode. Love it. Let's go. I want to talk about a team, but I want to go. We'll keep going with the individual stuff first.
You want to talk footy for a bit, yeah? Okay, let's talk footy.
Yeah, Jack Byton. Obviously,
Hungry Jack.
He used to be referred to as Jack Whiten, but now Jack Byton, Hungry Jack, whatever you want to do, and got suspended last night. Went to the tribunal, gave him a spray.
How many NRL games have you played?
I don't think that matters when you're biting someone's arm, but anyway, it is what it is. He's been suspended for 3 weeks. Whether we think that's enough, I think it probably is, but we'll have a chat about that now. And obviously, his defense was the fact that they'll push on his head. There was no other thing for him to do, even though I probably see this tackle and the push on the head end to 15 times a game at least, and we haven't seen anyone bite anyone. So funny that he basically admitted to it on the field, and then he's come back and referred to at the judiciary said he's not guilty. So I don't know who's giving him advice, but it's not very good advice at all, because he basically had lost that case before he even walked through the door with what he said on the field. And I just want to quickly talk about, before you boys have your opinions, on NRL 360 tonight, James Hooper mentioned the fact that Tyson Gamble was pretty gutless, and some other sort of words to describe him about why he wasn't there last night and why he didn't back up his story and stuff. Like, I think that's pretty low, to be honest, because he's got he's got a finals game coming up. He said what he needed to say on the field. We all saw the marks. Like, I don't know what he even needs to go back to the issue last night to say another thing. Like, we've all got the proof. We've all seen it with our own eyes. Like, whether he's there or not doesn't make it any less of what he said or how he is as a person. Like, I think it was a pretty low blow by Hoops. So, boys,
I'll go first because I know Jeremy's been on this, and I want to have a little crack at Gamble as well. Look, I spoke about Sunday. I won't say too much. I still don't think there was a lot in it. Really, like I said, if there's a bloke's got his arm around my mouth as well, I'm kind of in the same situation as well. It's like if a bloke had me going down, grabbing me around the throat or something, I'm going to do a similar thing. But what I'm pissed off with Tyson Gamble about is he come out after. At first it said he was going to stand up for Jack, and then it said he wasn't going to go there, which wasn't going to make things any better. Then he said he wants to leave things on the field, and he agrees with leaving things on the field. But the Tyson Gamble at the time of the incident wasn't thinking about leaving things on the field. He was thinking about getting Jack Whiten sent off. Let's be honest. By him making that complaint, he wanted Jack Whiten sent off. He didn't want him to get punished after, which to me, yeah, exactly right. But which to me, it kind of supports what Jack was saying, the way that he was pushing down on his head, doesn't it? You know, like if Tyson Gamble was that quick to say, I want him sent off, then maybe there was intent there. I don't know. Like, as I said, it's a bit of a hard one. I still find it interesting that for a very similar incident, Kevin Proctor got 6 weeks and Jack Whiten got 3 weeks. Because for me, they were same.
He got 4. He got 4 in the end. And he got 4. I think it was originally 6 and then he got it downgraded, I believe.
He got 4 and so did the lady.
Well, wait,
she got 2, I think. Did she? Or she got 4 weeks? I think she got 2 weeks the NRLW or 4.
Yeah, look, 2 weeks in the NRLW is equivalent to 4 in a way. But I don't know, like for me, like I said, it's a hard one. You can't say it's accidents happen in the game, but the question I asked is why wasn't Gamble punished for a clear high shot in a way? Because it was a high shot.
I do agree with that part. That's the part I do agree with. But what I don't really like is I really like questioning
Gamble's high shot. It was a grapple.
It was a grapple, but if the grapple doesn't happen, the grapple was the first act. If the grapple doesn't happen, the biting incident never happens. That's the biggest point I want to make is, it's like saying, all right, I don't know, I can't really compare it to anything, really. There's things I'd like to compare it to, but I'm not going to on here. But
compare it to the only other biting incident that you know. Compare it to the Proctor one.
Yeah.
Do you have the same argument?
Yeah, he grappled him.
Or James Graham biting Billy Slater's ear.
That was completely different. That was a bite. That was Yeah. No, I'm not saying two wrongs make it right. I'm saying if the first one never happened, the second one never had to. I'm not saying he should have got away with it. I'm just saying that.
Yeah, we can all agree that his arm shouldn't have been in his face or in and around.
It was in his mouth, really, wasn't it? It wasn't like it was around his
eyes.
We
can agree that it shouldn't have been there, but that happened on the ground. So it wasn't a high shot, it was a grapple. And if you want to call it, then there'll be 15 grapple tackle calls per game. So it comes back to consistency again of the referees. But the thing that I have a problem with is that he wasn't sent from the field. And I'm not just saying this as a Knights fan. I'm saying this as an NRL fan. Where's the standard? Is it because it was a semi-final? Is it because the referee wasn't able to make... Shut up, Michael. Is it because he wasn't able to make a ballsy decision and go, no, the last 2 incidents of biting have been a send-off. I'm not going to send him off because this is a semi-final with the game on the line. And that's where the consistency needs to come into it. That's what I have a problem with.
I watched it back and they pretty much said the reason it wasn't a send-off is they couldn't get clear evidence it was actually a bite besides the bite mark on the replay. And we obviously saw the replay at the ground several times. I haven't seen it on the TV live, but that's what they said. There was a point that Gordon Tallis made. I don't know which show it was on. I just saw it come up. And the thing he did, he put his mouth to him, went like that. Now, if you go like that, I've got tattoos. It was a fucking terrible example. If you go like that and you put your arm there, there's bite marks, is what he was saying. So, very valid point. If someone jams their arm into your mouth, you could have bite marks, whether you bit or not. Now, if someone's grappling me and I'm yelling out, get the fuck off me, which I guarantee Jack Whitemore said, my mouth's moving. How can you say if that's a bite or not?
Well, I was just about to point out your brother's comment here around grapple tackles are around the face. Well, your mouth is a part of your face. And if you are screaming to the player to get off you, your mouth's going to be open. And if that arm is around your face with an open mouth, they're going to go in.
Yep.
Still don't bite the bloke.
I got to admit, I'm with Jez there. The fact that it should have been a send-off. I don't think I'm
consistently.
So
it should have been.
I haven't heard more of it.
So here's the thing, though. If like us Knights fans and most of the NRL would be up in arms if Canberra won that game and he didn't get sent off, but because he did get sent off and sent to the judiciary, they've found him guilty. If he was sent off, then he would have had to have been found guilty at the judiciary. So either way, like there's no positive outcome from this.
Well, there is.
And look,
I know there's people next year because he's out for the first 3 games.
South get dudded for 3 games. That is a positive.
It's only 2 games. The Ryan Madison curse.
Yeah. He'll only miss the 2 games because he'll use the All-Stars game as one which he would get selected for. So I can buy that. But yeah.
We don't see it more times a game because people don't bite them. Sorry, just addressing that comment.
Does that mean he doesn't get to go to Vegas? They going to Vegas?
Yeah, he misses out.
He misses Vegas. It all makes perfect sense now. I changed my tone. Jack White has been told by South Sydney to bite someone because I guarantee he would have been one bloke that would do something stupid in Vegas.
Look, I'll just say the final thing. I think judging on Gamble's character by the fact that he made the claim on the football field, we all know why, get penalties and stuff. That's understandable. But also, I think if someone was biting you, you would be in a little bit of shock by it. You'd be going, what the fuck? Someone's just bitten my arm.
He pulled it out straight away. Yeah. Like there was a bite. Yeah. He pulled his arm out straight away.
It was a bite, but
I've never been shocked it's happened.
Yeah, well, that's because you're asking for it to happen. But I just don't think, especially these days with the technology, the cameras, the video footage, that would have come out anyway. We've got people that study the game literally 24/7. It would have eventually come out at some point within that first couple of days after. Gamble would have reacted to it and gone from that. So, yeah, bring back the beef.
But anyway, snitches get stitches. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, we know how he says it. So,
stitches, I'll get
Leave stitches. Yeah. Look, let's get to a team. I want to quickly talk about that their season's over and done with now, and 2 years in a row where they've had a bit of hype about them, and they just can't beat, first of all, quality teams. They just can't get it done in finals football. And we sort of touched on this with the review show of finals week 1, but are worth a little bit of talking points now with a few people maybe missed what we said earlier about them. And that's the Cronulla Sharks, who I feel like are in for a massive preseason this year, because I think similar to what happened with Parramatta this year with the slide, I think the Sharks could be that side next year if they don't change a few things that are happening to their side at the moment and address some situations. I think positionally, we've already mentioned some players. Hines, I think, needs to switch to either that 5'8" or maybe even that fullback role to create some bit more spark and a bit more of that running game. And I don't think he's that organising halfback that the Sharks need there to steer the ship properly. Talakai, for mine, needs to get away from the centres. Even maybe Ramian to a certain extent, like maybe only one of those types of players. They can't have both of them. They're too similar. For mine, their backline just doesn't really generate any sort of real X factor for mine. Like they all go on, I believe it was like the start of this year where they're all going on about it. Everyone wants an X factor, but everyone was going on earlier about the year. Their backline is the superstars and they got all re-signed. They're looking good for the future, but honestly, I don't think many of their players would get chased that hard from other clubs apart from the Tigers and Bulldogs who chase everyone. But apart from that, I don't think many top 8 teams would chase anyone really in their backline apart from Nicho Hynes. So I think their forwards as well, a lot of their forwards are too similar in the style of players that they are, and they just need a bit of a shake-up, I feel. I think they're just a bit stale, and as I said, this preseason is massive for the Sharks.
I've got a very simple one here. They've got the players. They've got the team. They're just missing one thing at Cronulla, and that's peptides. It's done it for them before. It can do it for them again. If they get the peptides back in their system, they'll win the comp. That's all.
Turn the porch light off.
Yeah, Jez, going on the Sharkies.
No, not really. They're a boring team. They've got one good player, and he's in the wrong position. They just lack that direction. They lack that one who's going to steer them out of the rut if it's a really tough game. There wasn't many arm wrestles that they had to put up with either. Like, I don't know. Kennedy's a good player. Like Will Kennedy, he's pretty exciting. But yeah, you're right. Their forwards are all too similar. Their backline doesn't scare anybody.
And their backline's smug too. You've got a lot of smug
They are.
players.
And I think I'm still a little bit bitter of Jesse Ramian and what he did at the Knights and got his dad to come and fight his fights for him to get him out of it. Like I can't stand the bloke, and I want to see his head get knocked off every time he takes the ball up. Well, yeah, it's been good for us, but no. And then just add that in with their home ground. Like, nah, they get a tough draw next year, and they're finishing.
Hang on.
I'm not there yet.
Hang on.
They get a tough draw next year, and they're finishing bottom 4. Like, there are many teams out there that can put a game together before them.
You've refreshed my memory, and I want to bring it up. Last week, I remember talking about the stadiums, and me and Adam were so against the fact that they were playing at Shark Park. Even Penrith, to a certain extent, who could have played at a bigger and better stadium and got more fans. You were so for it. And then, for those who missed the review show that we did on Sunday, I'll probably bring it back again this week. So make sure you're around on a Sunday night to listen to our thoughts on the finals week. But can you tell and explain to the viewers your updated thoughts about those stadiums, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing a couple of the images come from out the back at Penrith Stadium, where the Warriors fans were literally sliding down the grass hill because they had oversold that ground. And then just Shark Park in general as a construction site. I've got written down here, like there was an article that said because I was all for if you win a home semi-final, you get the home game. I'm still all for that. But then when you have a look at those grounds and they can only fit 13,000 into it, it's just such a misjustice for our game. And the rugby league, like the NRL, must be in such a good position because they have foregone over $1 million in revenue for those 2 games to be played at Penrith and at Shark Park. So it just proves Adam's point that they don't really care how many people go to the game. It's all about the TV rights. So if they've got viewerships, then they're fine. It's going to go to a subscription thing soon. You watch.
Here's the thing. I reckon, first of all, it should be changed. E-ground has to be 30,000 capacity to have the finals at E-ground. That would obviously solve the solution because every team has a ground that has 30,000 capacity within reach. But you spoke about the $1 million they would have made. Why not encourage teams to move their games? I know obviously you can't give it to the players or whatever, but why not say to Penrith, say to Cronulla, we're going to make $1 million. We'll put, $200,000 or $100,000 into your junior system or something in your Penrith or your Cronulla system junior. And back where they obviously need, I know obviously they're big clubs, but they need the money. Or you can nominate your junior clubs and split up between your junior clubs. Something that's going to help them in the future to make, like I said, they don't care about the money, but they're happy to hand that out and might encourage clubs to actually move it, and fans would have an understanding there.
It kind of shows that they don't care about the fans either. Like, how many fans missed out on that Sharks Roosters game with only 13,000 capacity?
Oh, probably about 1,000 because it's the Sharks versus the Roosters.
Okay, but let's just say it was the Knights crowd of nearly 30,000. You reduce that to 13, and if I miss out on one of those tickets as a member that has been to every single home game of the Knights this season, and because now it's been opened up to both teams, if I miss out because there's only 13,000 capacity, I am filthy.
Yeah,
I am so mad.
And that's the thing I don't get.
In saying that, Newcastle could have had 50 or 60,000 people there if the ground held it on Sunday. I'm not saying if they moved that game to Sydney, they would have got that. They probably wouldn't have got over 30,000. But if they're playing a Sydney team, for example, they may have got 60,000 people there. But like I said, we'll just compare back to Penrith Parramatta last year, the point Jeremy made. Penrith and Parramatta fans did miss out on tickets to that game. And a lot of Penrith fans did miss out because they got dominated in the stands. But that game was moved obviously to ANZ. There would have been 60,000 people there and no one would have missed out.
Yeah. And that's, I feel like, I'm surprised the state government doesn't get more involved with these decisions because they obviously forked out a lot of cash to get the new Allianz built, for CommBank to get built, and it feels like it's the perfect stadiums for these moments, for the first, second week of finals, getting the crowd to a nice number that's good on top of the action, really good for TV. We keep talking about the TV products, and I'm just surprised that the governments actually just sit there and basically watch it happen and go, yep, no worries, because it is, people forget, it's not about the clubs. The clubs don't get to decide this. It's the actual NRL. So the NRL sitting there going to the other Sharks going, yeah, go ahead, go and have it at the 13,000 seat stadium. When every time a bomb was put up, we kept seeing the construction site and we kept seeing cranes and mesh and bloody scaffolding and everything. It was horrible to look at. Like, honestly, we're trying to sell the product to Las Vegas in America at the moment. Imagine them sitting there going, what are these dickheads doing? They're playing at a bloody construction site. So,
but then you see the Brisbane game in a sold out Suncorp, and then you see the Knights game in a sold out Newcastle, and you go, that's what our game could do. Like that was the potential that we missed out on. I understand not taking it to Allianz because that's the Roosters' home ground. Like, that's not fair. But take it to CommBank. Take it to somewhere where you can fit in all of those fans at a neutral ground. Sorry, Sharks, finish higher or just have a better ground. It's frustrating.
I want to quickly say as well, and this isn't a talking point I probably should have waited for, but I'll just bring it up now. We're talking about it. I want to raise the thing that I don't get why 5th and 6th get a home final. I don't think they should be rewarded at all. I think it should just be those elimination games the first week should be at a neutral ground, so like Allianz or something, if it's two Sydney teams or whatever. There shouldn't be no home ground advantage because really...
They were in the old system, though, as well. The old system, they were rewarded. So
yeah,
it's what a lot of people didn't realise because it was never home ground advantage. But I'm giving an example of one of the last McIntyre systems, of course. Parramatta finished 8th. They played away against St George. St George finished first, lost that game. St George had to play away the week after to Brisbane. Okay. Parramatta won that game. They had to play the week after against the Gold Coast. Now, back then, it wasn't home grounds. It was when they had to play the second week onwards at the city grounds. Parramatta played at the older Core Stadium, whatever it was called back then. It was actually older Allianz Stadium.
No, it's SFS.
SFS, yeah, exactly. Yeah, SFS. So that was Parramatta's home game. So the teams, we finished 8th, and were rewarded with essentially a home week 2 final, which is a massive advantage when you're playing someone like the Gold Coast. Paul St. George, they were out in straight sets. Obviously, they went to Brisbane and got beat. So, little things along those lines, they were always rewarded. And I think this is the fairest way to do it. Like 7th and 8th, obviously last, because 3rd and 4th who missed out the first week are always guaranteed to have a home semi-final in week 2 now, as opposed to the old system. They could have had to travel to, things went the way they did. Melbourne could have been playing the Roosters, for example, at Sydney when the Roosters finished 7th.
I'd say the way I thought about it, I thought the first 2 weeks of the finals, the top 4 are guaranteed home finals. So whoever goes through the first week, the second week, whether it's first again that gets beaten, they get to get rewarded by having another home game for the second week in a row just because they finished first. That's their reward. I know they get the lifeline for losing, and then if it's 3 and 4th that lose, they get to play the week after and they get the home ground like they're doing now. I just don't personally think that finishing in the back half of the 8, the advantage already is of actually playing finals footy. You're getting the revenue, the crowd, things like that. So I just, Anyway.
I think my personal belief is the top 8's too many. And they're talking about extending that. They're talking of doing a playing series like the NBA do, which is a bit stupid. I think the top 8's always way too many. It means half your team is going to make finals. I know it rewards teams that make a late run, e.g. the Knights at the end of the year and stuff. They have to finish in 5th anyway, the Roosters. But I think the top 5 system is one of the best ways to still do it. And the New South Wales Cup does a top 5 system now. It's an awesome way to do it. So, but they'll never change it because once again, it's about TV rights and deals and more games.
Yeah, we'll see. Let's get into the preview then quickly of both the games this weekend, finals week 2. Obviously, the first one is the Storm versus the Roosters. Massive game, Amy Park, Friday night. What are our quick thoughts on this one, boys? Who do we think is winning and why?
You go first.
Storm are winning. Just think after that performance last week, they had, they've come out and they've said that they didn't play to their standard. I think it was straight after the game. You had Munster saying that they were shithouse on live television. So I don't see them losing the second game. I think the Roosters played valiantly against the Sharks, but I don't know. That's a tough ask, beating Melbourne in Melbourne after what was a drumming by Brisbane. So I'm backing the Storm here.
Adam, you're going to predict Harry Green for man of the match?
Hey, Harry Green man of the match for sure. No, I reckon Cameron Munster's going to have a big game here. I've got the Storm 38-4. Put a scoreline on it. I think they'll absolutely destroy the Roosters. I think the Roosters have had to be up for too long. And look, I'll speak from experience. Nothing goes your way when you go to Melbourne in week 2 of the finals. You won't get any decisions. The Roosters obviously have more injuries. There's a lot of weaknesses there. And I think they'll be targeted and they'll beat them out in the centres on the wings there. So I reckon Melbourne will run over the top of them quite easily, to be honest.
Couple of changes though too, isn't there?
There's heaps.
Yeah.
I feel like the Roosters are one injury too many, in my opinion. If they had Manu still playing in this game, you know what, I'd probably tip them just because I've really liked their style of footy. They've gone down into that dogfight, which suits finals footy. And I'm still saying it. I can't buy into the Melbourne Storm at the moment. They're just so far away from what I personally am used to seeing from the Storm that I think a lot of people are judging them off past experiences. And I think they're just moved on. They're a different team to that. They've got a lot of different players who can't hang with that Melbourne style of footy. And we said it on Sunday night. They're just playing fatigued. They're a really fatigued football side, it looks like, at the moment. And I got no doubt Harry Grant is going to step up and get this done for the Melbourne Storm. That's my player to sort of look out for. But, I just think this is probably their final hit out. I don't think won't go anywhere near the Penrith Panthers next week. But I think this will be they're on empty, the Storm. They'll have one final hit out, but it'll be a close one. I reckon that 1-12 sort of margin. And, I like the Roosters because they've still got, I know their backline is average. Like you look at their backline, especially their back 5, it's pretty average. But Tedesco's in form. Kiri's doing enough at the moment to sort of warrant being in first grade, which is a good thing for him. We've seen Walker come back into really good form. Lindsay Collins has been just massive. I think he's one of the best props in the game at the moment. Brandon Smith has had some really good weeks the last couple of weeks as well, find his footy. Even Victor Radley from mine has been really good. So they've got a good core playing group there at the Roosters who will keep them in the contest for a lot of it. I don't think it'll be an absolute cricket score by any means, but it is hard to see them getting over the top of the Melbourne Storm. I think it's a Storm in a tight one. The next game,
before you go on, the last two players that you mentioned there, in Smith and Radley, they probably had their best games last week. Especially Smith, he's been pretty absent all season, and he had a fantastic game in what was a pretty tight match against the Sharks. But him and Radley played their roles really well and were instrumental in them actually getting that win. So if they can continue that form, it might be a push. I don't think it'll be the blowout that Adam has predicted, though that would be entertaining rugby league. But when you look at the Storm halves, I think Meaney will probably play with a bit more freedom now that Pappenhausen's not biting at his ankles, pardon the pun.
Yeah.
And you don't see Munster not backing up after that really ridiculous performance last week. So he's going to come out firing. Hughes will come out firing, and then Harry Grant too.
One more thing to add as well. This is what you said. I personally believe that Melbourne have got a lot more chance of beating Penrith than the Roosters do. Yes, Melbourne get finals football. So for the sake of the competition and for the sake of Penrith's smugness and not going 3 in a row, I hope Melbourne can get the job done against the Roosters so they've got a chance of beating Penrith.
You know what? I'd be with you if they pick this youngster Fa'alogo, which is a post on the page. I think yesterday I put it up, and a lot of people actually been talking. It's a big talking point at the moment. I think the Melbourne Storm have to pick him in the 17. He's on the extended bench for now. He's that X factor that I think the Storm are missing at the moment to really spark him into life. It was what they wanted Pappenhausen to do. And even though he's injured, they can get this bloke in to really help that and come off the bench after 20 minutes or whatever, go to fullback, put Meaney in at centre and go from that. I think they're a good chance if they can do that.
Are you trying to break the record from Talking Para round 8 of saying X Factor as many times as you can? Because I reckon you've said it about 10 times tonight.
Well, I love that he X Factor players. He's something.
You got to have one.
Honestly, we
didn't. We missed the finals, so
no X Factor.
He's an absolute. He's going to be a star. Watch it. He'll be in demand very, very quickly. Warriors versus the Knights. Jez, who you got?
Newcastle. No, I said after the finals when we did our little recap that you're not writing the Warriors off. The way that they played in that game against Penrith, the score didn't represent how they were. They were still putting on shapes, missing Sean Johnson as well. They played really well. The Knights have a couple of outs, so Fitzgibbon is ruled out with a shoulder, and I think that's quite a big loss for the Knights. Adam Clune will come in and slot in as he did in the games previous, but I think Fitzgibbon actually is quite a big loss for the Knights, and it just takes out a couple of attacking players.
I cursed that bloke on the weekend, didn't I?
Yeah,
I really
did.
Just
gave him a rap.
I was talking about Fitzgibbon. I gave him a rap, and you know how I like to send players across the Super League. He was having a really good first half. I said, Jeremy said, I don't think Fitzgibbon's ready for the Super League. Well, next minute, he's dropped a couple of balls and he's done his shoulder. So I've really cursed him. Lucky he's got good health insurance.
Great health insurance.
Lucky. Adam, how do you see this one?
This one? This is the Warriors team song, guys. It's really taken a long time to start. It's not a very good team song, man.
Oh, I thought you were doing Up the Wires.
I thought you had something else lined up. I thought that was an instrument.
This is a really bad team song, all right? The Warriors team song sucks. I was actually going to put God Defend New Zealand on. I actually learned it on the guitar as well to sing it, but we've left that out. We might celebrate with that one next week. Let's get serious. Let's talk footy. I think the Knights will be in the grind for the first probably 50, 60 minutes, as I said last week. I think the Warriors in front of a crowd, I think they'll struggle a bit. I think Newcastle will probably go up about 10-0, but Warriors will bring it back. I think the Warriors are going with the game. I reckon they'll probably beat them by about, I want to say 10-14, really. Because I just think they'll get over the top of them at the end in front of a big crowd. Sean Johnson will come into life. Sean Johnson is not injured. There is no way Sean Johnson is injured, by the way. Look, I don't think Hastings is a big loss for Newcastle. I think Clune does the job and actually lets Ponga have a bit more freedom, and Ponga is the one that needs to control that team, as I said the other day, and that's what he did to win that game.
Would you say that he's the Knights' X factor?
No, he wears a coward cap. No one who wears a coward cap is an X factor in a team.
Jerome Hughes.
Yeah, Jerome Hughes. You're not the X factor either. Anyway, so I don't know. Like I said, it's just once again for the sake of the competition.
I'll give you a quick stat. Thanks to Random Stats Guy. He's been in touch with the page, and the Knights have won all 3 games by 13 plus without Jackson Hastings this year. So it just helps you. I said it was because of that. It frees up Ponga a lot more. He plays his footy and basically just controls the side and just gets his hand on the ball probably 2 or 3 times a set, which is dangerous. I see this one.
Can we just comment on Andrew's comment first? This Andrew's.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
What's your source?
So he told his cousins, uncles, bro, that told me, my neighbour, who's dog walker, his bro, that he wasn't actually injured. So, all right, continue, Joel.
Oh, guys, we don't just by the way, me and Jez do not condone Adam in this episode. He's just off the chain. I don't know what he's done beforehand, but
yes,
he's
going to condone racism.
Yeah. Look, this is a 50-50 one. I'll tell you why. I can hardly split these two. The Knights, I'm worried about the come down factor after last weekend being up for so much. Now going away and having to sort of go again. The advantage to that is they've gone now. I believe they're already in New Zealand. It's like a camp mentality. It's going to be all them together, getting around each other, which is going to be really good for them. Basically, this week would have been almost don't even run. Just get your body right. Get ready for this weekend. For the Warriors, my concern is, we all say at home it should be a blessing. I actually feel like it might be a hindrance. And we've seen it on the weekend with the Knights, how it was such a big crowd that it may have impacted the players a bit and the way that they played and things like that, which could happen again here to the Warriors. Don't forget, the Warriors, I think, have now lost 2 or 3 in a row. They're not on a win streak. They're actually coming into this with a couple of losses, which isn't ideal. And I'd hate to see, and I think there's a bit of pressure there. They've had such a good year. To be bundled out in straight sets would be a pressure there that the coach and that is probably feeling, the coaching staff and the club, because even though a lot of us would still say it's a very successful year, inside the 4 walls, I've got no doubt if they are to lose this one, they'd probably say it was definitely a failure of a season, because they should have, at least in their eyes, probably got to that semi-final stage in the final 4. So it's a really hard one to tip. I just got to go the Warriors just with SJ there. And I think on the weekend, even though the Panthers did beat them by a bit, we did say it was a lot closer than we thought. And I thought what the Warriors were missing was that conductor on the field to just steer the ship and help them out. Kicking game is really good of Johnson's, and he would have been ideal for the Warriors on the weekend. And we'll see that again this weekend, I think. And look, it won't be by many points at all. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a field goal.
Like Michael's comment here, fatigue is going to be a massive factor for the Knights. They played 90 minutes, and because of this extra time, which I didn't even know was a thing, it was fantastic. They were actually running shapes. They were running shapes and not just setting up block plays to throw it out 20 meters to the bloke behind. They played with intensity all the way up until that final whistle. So fatigue and then a massive home crowd for New Zealand. The home crowd got the Knights over the line after the Jack Wighton incident. So it's an extra man, Jack Wighton, Hungry Jack. It's an extra man. And I think they're 2 really big factors that the Knights will have to overcome if they want to give this game a red-hot shot.
And I second what Jez said. Please, NRL, get rid of the golden point. Let's go with extra time now.
It's so good.
It's so much
better.
Not a lot of people actually knew what was going on, to be honest, after the finals. Obviously there was a long time we played golden point there for a while before they went back to extra time. But I just want to highlight a couple of things you said, Joel. First of all, the Knights come down. That obviously finished a long time ago. Ponga was in those toilets at the start of the year, so he'd be well and truly over that by now.
That's why we're 10 in a row. He's come down.
He's come down. He's come down well. On what Michael said, look, the Warriors crowd, they'd obviously highlight that culture there. I think they'll buy into that quite a bit as well. That's why I think they'll obviously get the job done. But same thing, this game should have been played at Eden Park. Obviously, massive difference over there. It's not like they're moving it to someone else's stadium. But I know there was some golf thing on, but if the NRL wants to throw money around, surely they could have paid off that golf thing. Who's going to be going to a golf thing to hit a golf ball for stadium? It actually sounds pretty cool, but I'm not going to do it.
Just talk yourself into it.
No, well, I don't like unstable objects, and I guarantee there'd be some kind of frame walking bridge I'd have to walk over to go across that. So I definitely wouldn't be doing it. But, 50,000 at Eden Park would have been something special for people in New Zealand, given all that obviously happening during COVID as well. Obviously, keeping the game alive and stuff. Why not highlight how many fans they've got and how many fans have stuck with them instead of saying, it's just easy, we'll just play it at Mount Smart, because it would have been something special seeing it packed out Eden Park. It's going to be special anyway. But yeah, is that all we got? Can I give a shout out to someone?
Yeah, off you go.
Yeah, just Super Dylan. You probably not watch him, but I want to give a shout out. Super Dylan is going across. Jeremy would have seen the news articles there. He's booked his ticket across to New Zealand. He's one of the blokes who through the Jets. I've known him for a long time. He is Newcastle's self-acclaimed biggest sporting fan. He's going across to watch his team play. Dylan, don't get arrested. And all I'll say, Dylan, is I hope the Warriors absolutely pump the Knights for the shit you give me this year. Thank you. Hate you waste your money.
If you got any quick questions, guys, we'll get to them. We've got about 2 minutes or so.
We were asked to address about commentating on the Memorial game, but unfortunately, due to scheduling, and I have a wedding, Adam's already doing it. Joel's in, where are you? The Gold Coast.
I'm on the Gold Coast, and obviously with Bub, it's going to make it really hard. So unfortunately,
Adam will be there representing though.
Mate, I'm doing 74 things. I'm commentating that game. Those games, I've put 2 teams in, a men's and a women's team. So, because I'm not allowed to play. I'll give
just quickly, just shout out what it actually is. Yeah.
So obviously, look, the news went around the NRL community and just the rugby league community in general. But obviously, earlier in the year, one of the Aberglasslyn players where I coached this year, coached women's team, one of the men's players tragically died on the field due to an incident and tackle. Obviously, there's been a memorial night still organised to support the family and stuff around that. So some pretty big players coming into it. I can't reveal too much, but obviously a lot of support going around. And there's 9 sound at Maitland Sports Ground there on October 7th. So I think they're still looking for a couple more teams. And really, it's anyone that is listening. As long as your teams have been, can be a bunch of mates, as long as they're registered to play in the New South Wales Rugby League, they can play. So put a team together. We put, like I said, 2 teams together. We're going to be very hard to beat because Adam's a very good player and manager. Very good at attracting players, not so good at playing, but obviously turn up and have a crack.
He finally admitted it.
Yeah.
I'm old now.
It's a great
obviously,
cause.
Adam was there. A great cause. Adam will be there to represent us, League of Interest. Sorry, we can't have the whole team there. But do keep us interested, everyone. If you ever have something come up or whatever, for whatever scenario as well, please keep
us in mind. We host weddings.
Happy
to host weddings.
MC weddings, whatever. We'll do whatever you want. So send us a message through. If you want to put out to raise awareness for something, for charity or whatever.
Can we legally do christenings?
Wet the head, we'll do something, so we'll find a way. But just a quick couple of questions. Andrew's put one in here about.
Sorry, one more. I'm available for hens parties. Just putting it out there.
Shut up, Adam.
Honestly, you're off your head tonight. I hate these late time slots with you. You go to another level. Just quick, Billy Smith rumor, is he staying at Roosters or exploring his options? Well, heard him on the weekend say he wants to repay the Roosters, so who knows? We hear players say that, and then they get probably a 700,000 contract from the Bulldogs, and then they end up there. But we'll find out. I don't think Parramatta, unfortunately, are not interested anymore with the way that club is at the moment. They won't. Any good players that they get tempted into talking to, they just go, no, thank you. We'll do with our second-rate players. But anyway, anyone else here?
Andrew's question at the bottom feels like it's directed at me.
Adam, are you going to put the same passion in at Para next season like you are with the Wars?
Well, let's be honest. Obviously, I put a lot of passion at Parramatta. There's no hiding that. But as for the Wars, look, if the Wars don't win this week, they're dead to me.
And then you'll be going for Brisbane.
Shout out. If there's anyone out there who can borrow me a Brisbane jersey if the Warriors lose next week, I'll rock a Brisbane jersey. Look, let's be honest.
Can I ask this? Can I ask you this hypothetical question?
I'm about to answer your question. Penrith and Newcastle. Penrith and Newcastle. I will rock up into the grand final. I will not wear a Penrith jumper, and I'll probably go to the grand final because Jeremy will go. So I will rock up into that grand final.
Which one are you borrowing? Which one are you borrowing?
I'll wear my Maitland.
Penny has to be.
I'll wear my Maitland Pickers jersey.
Hey, I've worn a Parramatta jersey for you. Don't forget.
Yeah, he has worn a Parramatta jersey for me. Look, I put a Knights jersey on once, and it still haunts me. I put it on, tried on for the ex-brother. A quick photo was quickly taken. It's actually set as quite a few people's photo on when I call them on the phone, so it pops up, and it still haunts me. So I will never put a Knights jumper on again. I even wear this, like, I would never wear this outside of my house unless Newcastle get absolutely smashed on Saturday. I'll wear it ever on Sunday this week, just for the looks.
Quick one here, obviously a little troll thing about the fact that he refused to take a photo apparently with some youngsters or something. Honestly, I don't really mind about it. It's just one of those things. I feel like let's pick on the troll.
Don't get me started. Like, fucking hell.
You've got to give them boundaries. There's got to be boundaries. Your child cannot just go up to someone and expect them. You don't know what kind of day he's having. Yes, he's representing something bigger than himself, but the expectation's got to change when it comes to seeing your celebrity star in the wild and approaching them on their own day. Like, I don't think he used the words verbatim of, no, it's my day off, go away. I think there's a bit of mayo put on that story. But I just think the narrative's got to change around approaching high-profile people. Give them some space. Read the room.
Especially after the season he's had with South.
He actually, and the shit he's been copping. He actually apparently said he'd do it after the game instead of watch his mates, which is fine. But I'm going to compare it to this. We teach our kids to ask if they can pat a dog when they walk up to a dog and ask if they can pat it. Are we going to start getting offended if the owners say no? It's the same thing. People are entitled to say no to stuff. Yeah. You know, it's if he didn't feel like doing it that time because he wanted to watch his mate, let's let him go. I'm sick of the Latrell bagging. Like, he does some stupid things, there's no doubt, but it's just got to stop. We're going to lose.
But just in general, the narrative has to change around approaching high-profile people. Like, just read the room.
They're normal people just as much as they've got their own lives, they've got their own family, friends and stuff, and just let them be sometimes.
I'm saying that Adam will sign absolutely anything you put in front of him. So if you see Adam in the wild.
If Megan Fox walks down my street, I'm approaching her, mate. Just putting it out there, okay?
Yeah, and you're getting tackled by her security.
No, it's right Adam in Thornton, safe place.
Two fun things, and we'll shut off just quick. Alamotti to Penrith. I think that's a brilliant signing for Penrith. I anticipate him probably becoming one of the better centers in the game next year.
Second row. It'll be a second row.
Second row.
Oh, second row. Wherever he does, he'll end up being a pretty good player at Penrith. And finally, just quickly, Adam, do you want to address the video we have put up the other day about a bit of biff, bit of ooh-ha-ha in the crowd, and it has been doing the rounds. It's been quite popular. Just quickly, do you want to just give the viewers a bit of an outline about what actually happened? Because there's a lot of news going around and a lot of he say, she say type thing, and just set the record straight for us before we go.
I will, Andrew. If you want to run it straight at me, I think I'll highlight this. If we can make this happen.
You're too old for that, Adam.
If you want to run it straight at me, Andrew, leave your Christmas tree at home, first of all. But if you want to run it straight at me, I think I will donate money to charity. You don't need to pay. If you donate something to charity, I'll donate something to charity just to fold you, because that would be great. But
now let's talk about fighting in rugby league.
Yeah, let's talk about fighting in rugby league. Look, I'll make a deal. I'll even do Hayden for free as well. So Hayden can run at me as well. I'll fold him as well. Look, yeah, obviously I was at the Newcastle Lower Hunter Grand Finals on the weekend. I've got to be a bit careful what I say here because I know people obviously involved in the league and I don't want to claim that was my video because it definitely wasn't my video. It was somehow sourced to Joel in another way. But what I will say is the mentality of having all the games on the same day is to get people in to make a bit of money for the league. And the result of that is people get there at 9 o'clock and start drinking straight away when the bar is open straight away. So what the result was an A-grade grand final kicking off at 4 o'clock. Look, anyone who lives in Newcastle, it's even gone around Sydney. They've seen the headlines. It's a pub footy, not meant to play your players in pub footy, and Dora Creek obviously do. There's obviously been a lot of controversy. They've got an ex-NRL player in Penny Terapo playing there, and a couple of other players on about $1,500 a game, it's believed. So crazy money for pub footy for a competition that really you don't get much payment to win. And obviously there was a bit of incident with a bit of fans banner, and it kicked off around that. And one dude said, "This dude, I'll fight you," and I'll fight you. And then all of a sudden there was punches thrown everywhere. So you've all seen the video. Obviously it was pretty nuts. It's not really something we need in the game. There was kids there, and there was kids that had to pretty much flee for that to happen. But not most importantly, but the players obviously had to come across because their kids were there and their families were there. So
there's lots of wives and girlfriends that were having to jump the fence and actually get on the field to get away from it. It was just bonehead material. It's disgusting.
Yeah,
it's not on. And
I'm all for a bit of biff on the field, but leave it on the field. And yeah, like I said, it's just stupidity. Just thugs, really. It's just people that wouldn't have the balls to do it on the field, so they try and start fights off the field in group mentality.
I'll leave it with this. I feel like park footy is struggling enough as it is, and we don't need this sort of crap in the game, giving mothers even more reason to keep their kids away from our great game and letting them play the game as well. So just quickly, Jack, you must have gone and made
Jack, if you tuned in for the whole show.
We have shouted out already, mate.
Yeah,
so,
go back and
shouted it out.
Anyway, guys, we have taken up way too much of your time. Really appreciate it. I thought this would be another shorter episode. 2 weeks in a row now, I thought it'd be a shorter episode.
I just got rambling.
And we've done the total opposite. And
let's see what it was.
It's the late night time slot. If you want to do the late night time slot more often, let us know, because we can have Adam just fired up week to week.
Well, like I said, I've just been out celebrating winning, buying a house, so I'm obviously going to be fired up. You know how we celebrate in Newcastle.
Get to the Dell.
Well, good luck to Jez. Hopefully, as I said, we might be back. We might do it again on Sunday, the review show. Let us know if you do want that. We'll make sure it is a quicker episode this time. It will only be 2 games. It'll probably be about 20 minutes. And good luck to Jez and the Newcastle Knights on the weekend. A massive road trip, but one that they can done the way they've been playing. And looking forward to the other finals game, which I think a lot of people have forgotten about. Up the Wars and, slice of heaven. Bring it on. New Zealand